Hey cats, it's your footwear friend Ed Midsole Bud, back with another banger. This time round I have a shoe face-off against 4 of the best daily running shoes available on the market right now. We got the brand new NIKE Pegasus 41, the big surprise package of the year so far, the ADIDAS ADIZERO SL2, Puma's cushioned but versatile Velocity Nitro 3, and the Flight Foam Blast Plus favourite from ASICS, the NOVABLAST 4. Which is the best in class? Let's find out. Thanks for joining me, friends. It's always appreciated. Do hit that subscribe button and also give this video a thumbs up like. It really does help out. Drop us a comment too to help with the algorithm, and a super thanks is always appreciated to help the shoes keep rolling in. Dankeschön. Stats on the screen right now for you. We've got weights, we've also got the heel and forefoot measurements in the midsole, including the drop and some forefoot and heel widths for you. We've got to talk price as well, so I've left those on too, just in case you were wondering. Those are in UK Earth credits, which aren't really worth all that much right now, or they haven't really been for ages, to be honest. Hopefully things will improve by July the 5th. Off the bat, the Pegasus 41 is the heaviest of all 4 shoes in today's comparison. I think that's probably down to the addition of those dual air units. There's more plastic, just more materials to weigh the shoe down. Also, the second most costly shoe, 129 quid, versus the top dollar NOVABLAST 4 from ASICS. In terms of underfoot surface area, the NOVABLAST 4 is easily the widest in the forefoot and the heel, and also in terms of midsole stack too. All of the main midsole foams in today's video come in at round about 30 short A. The lower the number, the softer the material. So if you can imagine like a cloud would be a 1 perhaps. That's not to scale at all, but 30's pretty soft. 28 I think is about the average, though I have tested loads of super shoes. A couple of the shoes today do have some multiple foam layers there, but I've tried to focus on the one that's directly underfoot. The Adidas and Puma shoes are the cheapest ones in today's video, so if you're on a budget, you can pick these up for around about 109 quid. You can always look around for some discounts though, and both of these are currently available under 100 if you look around. I'm going to give scores to each area of the shoe in terms of the upper, midsole, outsole and quality. So like 4 points will be like GOAT status, 1 point is like usable, but that's about it. Let's get to work, my footwear friend. Kicking off with the uppers first, the Pegasus 41, a nice breathable toe box here, and a middle of the road vibe really. There is some serious padding though in the tongue and around the back of the shoe as well to sort of protect the heel. Quite a bit more padding in the heel of the Velocity Nitro 3 from Puma. It's a touch warmer on foot as well compared to some of the other shoes in today's comparison. Not sure everybody will get on with the very thin tongue section that we've got here on the Puma. It's kind of cut and split at the top here, and there's quite a forefoot taper as well on the lateral side of the shoe. I think the ADIDAS ADIZERO SL2 is probably one of the better shoes upper wise in my video today. Less plush perhaps than the others, but still very comfortable despite the tapered in toe box. I think it's very close here though between this one and the NOVABLAST 4 in terms of the upper. That's got padding, yes, but only where it counts. Quite reminiscent, I suppose, of the Super Blast in many ways. So ranking them quite hard this time round, but I've managed to do it. I'm going to give 2 points to the Velocity Nitro 3 from Puma for the upper, slightly weird thinner tongue which takes a bit of getting used to. 2 points to the Pegasus 41 for those inconsistent lace loops that we've got. Had to fiddle around a little bit to get the lace tension just right, and the padded tongue and heel area are real sweat magnets. 2.5 points for the ADIDAS ADIZERO SL2. I think a few people might struggle a little bit with a slightly raised ankle section here. If you're wearing very thin socks, it may dig in a little bit to the side of the foot, could rub and cause a restriction of movement there. Almost top marks though, 3.5 points for the NOVABLAST 4. I think it's got pretty much everything you could want for a daily shoe upper, but without all the weight, and it's very flexible and conforming to the foot. It's a nice bit of width here in the NOVABLAST 4. Moving on to midsole now. I think midsole wise, the lack of significant forefoot cushion in the Pegasus 41 might restrict its use a little bit. I think it could put people off. It's also one of the more bottom heavy shoes in today's video. The rounded section of React X here in the heel does feel a little bit overblown, so I'm going to give it a 1.5 for the midsole. I've lifted it up a tiny bit due to the more resilient nature of that React X foam. Underfoot, I really like the consistency that we've got across the footbed in the PUMA Velocity Nitro 3. Perhaps a better option if you want a little bit more stability in your shoe and some impact protection without it feeling like overtly squashy or unstable. There is a combo of foams here. You do have Nitro on top of the Pro foam, which is an EVA blend. It just feels a little bit more nimble to me in training. You could throw in a little bit more of your speed sessions in there rather than just sort of daily easier running. Though perhaps at those higher paces you do kind of miss the air units that you've got in the Nike, but there's way more forefoot stack here than in that shoe. So 2.5 points for the midsole in the PUMA Velocity Nitro 3. So tie at the top. I don't think either of the midsoles here are absolute GOAT level for 4 points, but I'm going to give them 3 points each, and here's my reasoning. I don't quite know how they do it really in terms of price, but you've got Lightstrike Pro in here and you can certainly feel it underfoot. It's springy, it's responsive, it's super light, and it kind of belies the price a little bit of this one. I think it's a great pickup really for your daily stuff if you want a nice nimble midsole. I think perhaps the ultimate midsole if you're traveling maybe and you want a shoe that can almost do it all. Perhaps not for those mega long runs or the slower long runs. I think it'll just spur you on to run a little bit too fast than you might want to for those. So 3 points for the midsole on the SL2. And I got to give the Novablast 4 midsole 3 points as well. It's fun, it's bouncy, it doesn't take too long to break in. That hollowed out section in the midsole here underfoot really does create a nice bouncy feel, and up front you've got that almost trampoline like propulsive area. Kind of echoes the more expensive Super Blast model. It's got some of that DNA in there. Outsole wise, you have to say that Puma grip is really hard to beat. Even on their daily option shoe here, you could go from road to some light trails in this one, no problem at all. Traction achieved on the Puma offerings is always right up there. Hard to beat really for road to concrete, and it's durable to boot. I'm going to give this one 3 points for the outsole. Not quite GOAT level here, and I do feel that if they perhaps reduced certain areas of it, it might promote a little bit more flexibility in the forefoot. The SL2 from Adidas doesn't have continental rubber this time round, but it seems to be durable enough for the majority of runners out there. The outsole does really flex well. I think it's down to the slats here, and I found it did a good job going around corners. Doesn't pick up all too much debris either. I am though going to give it 2 points. I think it's certainly functional. I just wonder how well it's going to do like after 100 miles or so, then we can get a true feel for it. Remember, it's not continental rubber. We don't know how well this is going to hold up over time. In terms of the Novablast 4, I think it's probably the weakest area of the shoe. It's better than the Novablast 3 in terms of its performance in wet weather, but I still don't think it's the finished article. Slippery on some wet, smooth surfaces. I'm going to give it a 1.5 for the outsole. It's no match for the stretched rubber waffles that we've got on the Pegasus 41. Nike may not make great daily shoes all the time. They might have a very overblown lineup really, but they still know how to make a good outsole. It's slightly tougher this time around as well, the rubber that we've got here. These work superbly well on practically anything, and I hope they don't change it up too much in the next iteration. I'm going to give it a 3.5 for the outsole. Not quite GOAT level because I think it's a little bit too durable now. It appears a touch tougher and firmer than last year's version. So with only value left, the scores are as follows. We got 7 points for the Pegasus 41, 7.5 each for the SL2 and the Velocity Nitro 3, and top by a hair is the Novablast 4 with 8 points. So talking about value now, out the box, I think the Novablast 4 and perhaps the Puma are the best in terms of build quality. They're really well put together, and attention to detail is really featured in those models. Perhaps a tad better than the Pegasus 41 though. I think it's pretty close. I think this is one of the better put together Nike shoes of recent time. In fairness, I think the Pegasus is always a little bit better put together than some of the race shoes, and they can be like 2 or 3 times the price. I think if you're looking for versatility between all of them, then the Novablast 4 and the Velocity Nitro 3 are probably right up there. I think they can do everything pretty well, whereas the SL2 does feel like a slightly higher pace shoe, I suppose, due to the lightness. I think you're paying a tiny bit more here for the Novablast 4 over the Pegasus, and you're getting a little bit more shoe. I think it's worth just shelling out a little bit extra for this one. If you want the stability, then I think the Velocity Nitro 3 is the way to go. If perhaps you want something that you can train and race in, then the SL2 is the one for you. So I think I'll give the Pegasus 41 2 points, 2.5 each for the very usable ASICS and PUMA offerings, but I think I'd go for a 3 for the SL2. I just can't quite figure out how they've stuck Lightstrike Pro and Lightstrike 2.0 in here, and they've got the shoe down to almost like a £100 price. It's pretty amazing. They might have skimped a bit on the insole and the slightly wiry laces, but we'll let them off this time. So we got the final scores. Pegasus 41 with 9 points. With 10 points, the PUMA Velocity Nitro 3. Then tied on top spot with 10.5 each is the NOVABLAST 4 and the SL2. So I don't think there's an awful lot in it really when it comes to daily shoes. Perhaps the expectation of like longer runs isn't quite there with these, but I think with the NOVABLAST 4 and the SL2 it covers like loads of bases there. Perhaps you could get away with doing those longer runs in the NOVABLAST 4, I don't see why not. So there we go, a little bit more information, help you make a good educated decision. That's a lot for my comparison. What do you make of my final scores? What would be your top pick and why? Let us know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Quick musical interlude for you. It's about that time to dig out all the classic England football songs. Of course, my favourite back from 1996 is the original version of Three Lions, but I really like the video of this one. I think it provides a little bit more context, kind of how football was really, I guess, for me back in the 90s. You'd be watching the footy on the TV early in the morning, like the sort of previews and stuff, meeting up with your mates, you know, going down to the pub, dreaming about what could happen. But for me, Three Lions is always the ultimate track. It's got the fantastic production from Ian Brody and the Lightning Seeds, and the melodies and the lyrics and the intention of the song just always sticks with me. It sort of haunts me, I suppose. It's this beautiful balance between hope and despair. They've got it just right. Of course, you've got fantastic samples in there from people like Jimmy Hill. Oh, go on getting bad results, getting bad results, getting bad results. I don't think you can ever really top it. It's just one of those tracks that always stirs emotion whenever you hear it. And, you know, you can hear people say, oh, it's coming home and all this. But when you listen to the original track, you get the true vibe, the true intention of it. So go back and listen to the original people from 96, Skinner, Badil and the Lightning Seeds with Three Lions. Thanks for tuning in, it's always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Drop us a comment too to help with the algorithm. My name's EDDBUD and I'll be seeing you